Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the very first Emble-Bee audio. I am going to have to be completely 100% truthful with all of you. I have got no idea what I'm doing making this. This channel has come about in a slightly unusual way. I have never in 1,000 years actually ever intended to go into making audios. It's kind of come about a bit backwards. And this channel in particular has come from a very, very, very specific thing. To be precise, I'm not sure whether it's easiest to call it a deal or whether it's easiest to call it a bet, or just to account it to the binding covenant that is the pinky swear, which we all know to be lawful and true and binding to the grave. But I made a deal with a friend. I've known this friend for... What year is it? How long ago was 2014? Was it 2014? Probably 4 years. Let's just call it 4 years. Except it might have been 2015. In that case, yes, it would have been 4 years. Sorry. So yes, I've known this friend for about 4 years, and she is one of my best friends in this life. She is incredibly funny. She's the whole package. It's really annoying. She's pretty, she's clever, she's talented. If she wasn't so nice, I'd have to kill her to make to make some space for the rest of us, because it's really just not fair. But yes, she is one of my closest friends in this life, and we have a quite comforting little ritual that we do about once a month or so, where we descend on our local Pizza Hut and just turn into this feral pair of carb-consuming beasts. Where we just settle ourselves down in a corner and just eat all the carbohydrates in one fell swoop whilst talking about everything. And we have lovingly referred to those sessions as Booth and Bitch sessions, because something that important needs its own name. And in our last Booth and Bitch session, my friend mentioned to me that I should do audios, because I have made a few for other things, mostly with another friend who is also incredibly dear to me, and it's as much to make that friend happy as it is for consumption. So I've never really thought of it as anything that I would do alone. I've only ever really thought of it as something I'd do with a friend. So when my friend was like, you should do audio, I was like, so get out of here with your wild ideas. But yeah, and she's like, you should do YouTube, and it can be quite fun. You could get creative with it. You can make it what you want. And I was like, oh, it's too big and too scary. Yeah, let's get to change the subject. And so we started talking about all the wonderful things that my friend does, because my friend is a very talented musician, plays the piano, plays the cello, she does lots of drawing. As I said, it's really annoying how good she is at things. I really am going to have to kill her one day. But yes, and also crochet. My friend is a bit of a wizard with yarn, and so I turned the tables back on her a little bit, and I said, well, you make such wonderful things, and truly she does. She's made these gorgeous big blankets and shawls and things before, and honestly, their quality, they're absolutely stunning. They are flawless. Now, I can knit and crochet myself, and goodness knows, I can tell I have good friends, because poor souls, they still wear the lopsided holy monstrosities that I have made while learning. Bless their kind souls. And so, in fact, there's one scarf I've made for a friend that looks like a looks like a dilapidated fence at one end and a scarf at the other. It's very much a Jekyll and Hyde scarf. And bless his soul, the poor sod still wears it. He's a very kind man, is that one. He does deserve better than that scarf. I really must make him a new one. But yes, my friend, however, has none of my shortcomings when it comes to yarn. She makes absolutely stunning things. And so I was like, well, why don't you sell the things you make? Because you make tons of absolutely stunning things. Why don't you do craft fairs? Why don't you set yourself up a little Etsy page and do things like that? And she was umming and ahhing. And then I had a thought. Now, this is always a dangerous thing with me. I have no impulse control, which is not necessarily always a bad thing. It's taken me on some quite good little adventures here and there. It's also contributed to 4 of my piercings. Yes, a lot of random knickknacks around my flat. So yes, impulse control is not my forte, and sometimes it does lead me to do very stupid things, like dangling my feet off the edge of the Tintagel cliffs in a 50-mile-an-hour gale, and then giving my friends who were on another cliff watching me a heart attack because they thought I was going to fall off. But in this instance, my impulse control took a very different form. I looked my friend in the eye, and I held my hand out, and I stuck out my pinky. And I said to her, well, all right, if you sell your work, I will make a YouTube channel. And she looked me in the eye, and it all went hushed. Everything stopped in that pizza. Believe it, it happened. I'm not making this up. Maybe a little bit. But yeah, tumbleweed, people watching us from the corners, quiet drum roll in the corner. And then she wrapped her pinky around mine. I said, all right then, deal. And now it is a lawfully recognised and binding covenant that neither of us can back out on. So, if you're listening to this, woman, you best be crocheting. So yeah, here I am. And that's where this has come from. But, as we've already explained, I've got no idea what I'm doing. I primarily do art. And so I've never really thought about if I was to have an audio channel, what I would do with it. So I've got a bundle of vague ideas. Maybe fairy stories. All of the old dark wild ones from the woods when the forests had power. I like all the deep dark old stories like that. I spend a lot of time in my local woods. One of my friends swears I'm part fae. To be honest, it's more that I just like being out in nature. I like the fresh air. I like seeing what's out there in the world. I have a bad habit of chasing bugs and beasties around the place trying to get pictures. Lots of butterflies and bees. Bees matter a lot to me. And, of course, chasing down my nemesis, a heron, which I see pretty much every day, but which will never, ever let me get a picture of it. I don't trust herons. Truly. They look all tall and dignified, but at the same time, they've got this smug, knowing glint in their eyes. And you know that if they could speak, they would speak backwards just to spite you. And I'm not saying that because I'm bitter about this little shit not letting me get a picture of him. Not even slightly, no. No, I am a mature and responsible adult who does not have a feud with a bird. don't know what you're talking about. But yes, essentially, I've got no idea what this channel is going to be, even after, I think, a fortnight of racking my brain and trying to plan. I've got no idea, truly. So we're very much going to play it by ear. There are likely going to be stories, story readings, maybe old fairy tales. Probably I'll try and read them in the style of a sleep audio, because I struggle with sleep myself, and I know that a lot of people do. It's a very common thing that people often feel a little ashamed about. It's very strange how struggling to sleep makes you feel quite broken. And it's like, goodness me, I can't even manage this. And so it's very frustrating, and a lot of people do struggle with it. And audio really does have the power to help with that, and I respect that. It's helped me a lot. So if there's the potential that I could make something that could potentially help someone else find sleep, I would very, very much like to do that. So there might be that. I can't even remember what I've said so far in this audio, but I believe I might have mentioned that I am an artist, self-taught primarily. I failed art, well, nearly failed art at school, so I can't guarantee that they will be any good, but some of the people on the art community I follow have requested tutorials of how to do drawings, and I think I've found a way of doing them. I can't guarantee that they will be perfect. However, again, I love drawing, have done ever since I was tiny wee thing, and I know a lot of other people absolutely genuinely adore drawing as well. It's a wonderful thing to do, so complex and so easy at the same time, but there's a lot of competitiveness within the various art communities, and a lot of disrespect for hobbyists, and a lot of the resources are quite patronising, and it's a lot of the attitude in various online circles is that you can't let yourself be bad if it's not good art. Don't post it, don't do it, just don't bother, we don't need to see that, which is absolutely ridiculous, because the whole point of art is that 95% of it is not talent, it's practice. And so in order to get good, you've just got to draw and keep drawing and keep drawing and keep drawing, and practice and practice and practice, and look at references, look at tutorials, and just keep going. So I know a lot of people who struggle to start drawing because a lot of the resources out there are not always very accessible to them. So I will see if there's any way that I can do this in a way that will give sort of a basic foundation that people can maybe then build on. I'm going to start with anatomy and posing more than anything, because that's what I have the most solid understanding of. But again, I'm not quite sure when that's going to be done. But more than anything, I'm just kind of going to talk, because anyone who knows me will know that actually getting me to shut up is a bit of an ask a lot of the time. But in a strange way, just listening to someone talking, even if you're not listening to the words, is very, very, very therapeutic. It's why people can't sleep without background noise. It's why people have the radio on when you're working, listen to music, things like that. Having a voice in your ear just gives you that sense of companionship. So even if people are listening and not paying attention to what's being said, there's a benefit to it. and it's really rather wonderful. Particularly a lot of people, if you work full time, if you don't get to see your family, your friends, your lovers as much as you would wish, you can very much feel like you're having to spend time talking to people and listening to the voices of people that you have to talk to, rather than the ones that you actually wish to talk to. And you find yourself wanting that companionship and friendly voice that's just for you, something tailored for you, or even just someone who doesn't even necessarily care if you're not listening. Someone who knows that you're just looking for something to distract you, something for comfort, just a friendly voice in your ear. So, no matter what this channel turns out to be, I can promise you right now that whether it's sleep audios, art audios, random mumbling on goodness knows what, fairy stories, tales from the past, anything, it will change vastly, but I will try to never fail to be anything less than the friendly voice in your ear. So, it was lovely to say hello to you all. I hope you have a lovely evening, and I'm sure we will talk again soon. Bye-bye now. Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the very first Emble-Bee audio. I am going to have to be completely 100% truthful with all of you. I have got no idea what I'm doing making this. This channel has come about in a slightly unusual way. I have never in 1,000 years actually ever intended to go into making audios. It's kind of come about a bit backwards.